My best friends. I'm Tabby.
And I'm Caitlin.
And I'm Tessa.
And today we are discussing Onyx Storm by Rebecca Yarros, the third installment of the Empyrean series.
And today we have a super special guest, my older sister, Tessa.
Hello.
She also loves to read.
Do indeed.
Tessa, tell the people, what are you reading right now?
So right now I'm reading Blood Over Brighthaven by M.L. Wong. It is amazing. And I've finished like 3 books this week. I'm out of my reading slump.
Ooh.
So Onyx
Oh,
Storm
yeah.
got me out of it, which was great.
Yeah,
What
if
is,
I had been in one, it would have gotten
oh
me out
yeah.
too.
What is your favorite genre to read?
Probably romantasy, fantasy, sci-fi,
Ah,
somewhere in there.
spot on for this week.
Yeah,
And,
I
and that's why
know.
we asked you to join us today.
That's right.
So I'm going to read for us the back of the book on Goodreads. First of all, it's highly rated, 4.36 stars, and 533,000 ratings. That's a lot. And it's only been out for like, what, a month?
Yeah, what was Iron Flame? I know Iron Flame was not
Was it
that
the
Iron
high.
Flame was way too hyped.
Iron Flame's rating was 4.37, just
Was
about
it
the same.
really?
But
Okay.
oh, and
That
that had
shocks me.
1.8 million ratings.
Okay, so we just need to give this one time.
So it says, after nearly 18 months at Biscayath War College, Violet Sorrengail knows there's no more time for lessons, no more time for uncertainty, because the battle has truly begun, and with enemies closing in from outside their walls and within their ranks, it's impossible to know who to trust. Now Violet must journey beyond the failing Aretian wards to seek allies from unfamiliar lands to stand with Navarre. The trip will test every bit of her wit, luck, and strength, but she will do anything to save what she loves, her dragons, her family, her home, and him, even if it means keeping a secret so big it could destroy everything. They need an army, they need power, they need magic, and they need the one thing only Violet can find, the truth. But a storm is coming, and not everyone can survive its wrath.
See, that was a good back of the book blurb. That
Hmm.
Yes,
was a good one.
it set the tone.
Yeah, the last couple we did, like, basically just told you exactly what happened in the book.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like a lot of people will do that on accident and they just get a little carried
Yeah.
away
No, that was solid.
in their desperation to make people read their book.
Yeah, it was a good appetizer for what was to come.
Yeah,
Exactly.
Rebecca, she knew what she had,
Hmm.
She's been around the block a time or two,
you
you know.
know?
What would you guys rate this book?
So I gave it a 9.1 out of 10. I liked it way better actually than the other two, even Fourth Wing. I was a little confused at the beginning, and that's partially my bad because I didn't reread anything going into it. But I just felt like it was more action-packed this time, and the storyline moved along a little bit better. The communication was better. I mean, it still had its flaws, but it was out of all of them the best one so far.
Yeah, I gave it an 8.5 out of 10. It was good. I actually think I liked Fourth Wing better, but
Mm.
mainly just because the first book is like setting the tone for the rest of them.
Yeah.
So I was comparing all of the other books to the first one. So I was very disappointed by Iron Flame.
Oh yeah.
I went into this with lower expectations and was not disappointed. I loved more of the world building that they were fleshing out, but I
Hmm.
still felt like there were a lot of gaps, and those might have been purposeful gaps, but I don't know, some of them felt like they could have been, I don't know,
I
fleshed out
kind
a
of
little
feel
bit more.
like Rebecca has kind of earned my trust a little bit more though with her
Yeah.
gaps. I kind of feel like now I believe that they're intentional, whereas with
Mhm.
Iron Flame I was a little worried.
I know. I
Nope,
was like,
that's super
girl, did you
fair.
forget how to write between Fourth
Yeah.
Wing and now?
No, I think she's doing it on purpose. But I would rate this a 9.5 out of 10 because for me, I loved it the best out of the 3 books so far. And I did kind of struggle at the beginning. Like Tabby said, I didn't reread the first two right before I read
Same.
this. And that's totally on me. That's my fault. But I thought her like world that she's created, the magic system and everything about it is just unique. And that is something that's just really gotten me excited about this series and even kind of ranked it like series wise at the top of my list. It's up there. It might be number 2 for me, like as far
Nice.
as fantasy series go.
Really?
Yeah, and that's followed by Throne of Glass, so high praise.
Wow.
Or sorry, that that is following Throne of Glass. Throne of
I
Glass.
was like, my God,
I was like, that is such a
Yeah.
what a
bold.
brave
No,
thing to
I
say.
misspoke. I misspoke. Throne of Glass is my favorite. I think the Fourth Wing, the Empyrean series is my second favorite.
Ooh.
See,
Mm.
ACOTAR will always just hold a very special place in my heart, I
I do love
think.
ACOTAR as well. And honestly, like I feel like it could change on any given day.
Yeah,
Like
that's so
2
fair.
months from now, I might be like, yeah, ACOTAR's number two in my
Who
heart.
knows?
But Throne
Someone
of Glass
may,
will remain on top.
As
yes.
it should, as it should.
Isn't it just so funny how like someone can come out of absolutely nowhere and just write like the new best-selling
Well, and
fantasy novel that,
Rebecca had written a lot of books before Fourth Wing as well,
yeah,
and I don't remember how many, but she's been doing this for a while. Like,
yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, I just think it's so crazy how it caught on like that and it's just become like this whole thing where like before you had ACOTAR and you had Throne of Glass and you had Crescent City and those were kind of like the big three like that everyone was
Hmm.
talking about. And then Fourth Wing came along and like just really took the world by storm.
yeah.
I've been really having a think on this, like why certain books do so much better than others, because they're so, like the romantasy genre is just inundated with books right now. And I really feel like it is like the books that make you think and they have this really unique structure to them. You don't know what's happening. Like
Hmm.
that newness makes it
Yes,
like sets it apart.
I agree. And something that like One Dark Window and Two
Yeah,
Hmm.
Twisted Crowns, like
Yeah.
those also had such great success because they just had a
it's
uniqueness to them.
Hmm.
Like
yeah,
there was something about them that didn't fit like the typical formula. And obviously like that formula that exists is popular for a reason, but I think it has, like you said, it's become kind of oversaturated with the
It's just
yeah.
same thing over and
boring.
over.
It's
Yeah, and we
boring.
just want something like
I want something
fresh.
new.
Yeah, I love it. That's so
Hmm.
exciting. And I just love seeing like so many people excited about reading because it just feels like we're back in the day, like when Twilight was coming out, like Hunger
Yeah.
Games, Divergent. Like it just feels like we're back there and we've got like
We're
this
back,
childlike
baby.
energy. We're back. I say that, but also I've never felt more old in my life. I plucked like 3 gray hairs this week and almost threw up from bending over.
The horror, the horrors
The horrors
persist.
persist.
No.
But
But so do we. Speaking of resilience, let's talk about these characters because we've
Oh my
got,
God.
we've got a few to get through.
we'll start with
Um,
Violet.
you know what?
Yeah. Oh,
You
she's
know what?
slaying.
I went into this with such a bad headspace for Violet. I went in as a hater and I regretted it pretty much like 15% of the way into the book because she turned such a leaf for me. And like her attitude changed and the way she communicated with people, for the most part, changed. And I just feel like she became such a strong, like, main female character. And it was actually enjoyable to like read her story.
She really did flip a switch. I felt she was truly serving cunt.
Yeah,
Like the plans that she hatched and like the attitude that she had, she was such a leader.
she was.
Because I'm thinking of like what happened on Zahilna with like Traeger's death and how she pulled through. Like she was such a leader this book. It was
She did what
crazy.
she needed to do.
I also loved though that even though she really stepped into that leader role, like you could still see the inner monologue that she was struggling with being
Mhm.
thrust into that leadership role when she was speaking with Taryn through their bond.
Yeah.
And I appreciated that too, because like I feel like sometimes in books like this, they're like, and all of a sudden the main female character is just this amazing leader that she's never been before, and she just really stepped into this role.
But she
And
did
I like,
it.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And like to your point, I think it's important to remember like Violet is a very young woman. Like
Yeah.
she is, I think 20 or 21 years old. Like she is
Hmm.
very young. And to have this like thrust upon her, like this chosen one storyline, which happens in like obviously like young adult books as well. But
Hmm.
like we forget what it was like to be that age. We were not confident. We were not
No.
smart. Well, not smart. We were not wise.
No.
And we fucked
Yes.
up a lot. And she is in a position where fucking up has dire
It's gonna kill
consequences.
people.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
it's like this is heavy shit for a young woman.
Well, and I really like how they kind of balance it out too, because it's not just like oh, she's going to take on this leadership role and do great and whatever. Like, you still see when you're talking about like the self-esteem and the vulnerabilities, like you saw that a lot too when like she and Zayden like couldn't touch or be intimate or like even be in the
Mhm.
same room as each other, and like getting to see her internal monologue and like how that really took a toll on her confidence and like what she was needing out of the relationship. And so I thought it was really important that they touched on that too, because it really humanized her,
Yeah.
I
Mhm.
think. And it did remind us like, hey, she's 21 years old.
Yeah, that is
Like,
such a
she's
good
just a
point.
kid.
Yeah, she's a baby. And that honestly makes her relationship with Taryn like that much more wholesome
I
because he is
know.
giving such fatherly energy to her. And that's
Grumpy
another
old man
thing.
vibes.
Grumpy old man, but like Violet lost her dad at a relatively
Yeah.
young age as well. And like so Taryn kind of filling that gap, like that's something I've never really reflected on before, but that's
Just
very
like
Very
symbolic.
scales
special.
filling that gap for Zayden.
Yeah.
Yeah,
He didn't
no,
have a
you're right.
mother.
It's balance, guys. It's balance. I love it.
That's very nice. I love that.
That's so nice, Rebecca.
That's so nice. So, speaking of preying on people's downfalls, I also had a really big change of heart for Zayden as well. I just went into this book with such a shitty attitude, and like,
We were
Same.
mad at them at the end of Iron
like
Flame. We were
Iron
mad.
Flame
I
left such a bad taste in my mouth.
yes,
Yes.
I hated them so much, and the miscommunication and like the ending of it obviously like made you feel a little bit bad because you're like, okay, like now he's got all this stuff he needs to go through, but like. And this, like, he didn't use that as an excuse. Like, he still tried to get everything done that he needed to while also dealing with this terrible, like, load to carry, while also being responsible for, like, a whole, like, territory. And
Mhm.
I just can't even imagine because he's also very young. Like,
And has
Yeah.
had
he's,
the weight of many people on his back since the beginning.
Since he
yeah,
was like a
he
teenager.
was
Yeah.
responsible for all of the children of the rebellion, and now he's responsible for all of Tyrrendor. And so I don't know. It's just it really made me look at him in a different light.
No, I agree.
The way he
And
handled everything.
I just think there was such a obviously he's always been like a badass, like self-assured,
Yeah.
like that is his archetype. But something about him like truly flipping over to like the villain side of things is just very becoming of him. Like
It really suits him.
it really suits him, I fear. He has never been more hot.
I
I've never
wanted him to
appreciated
be
him more.
evil.
I liked it a lot. But something that was really like important was the balance of like that where he is struggling to feel emotions and stuff, but then also whenever we see how much love he has for Violet and
Hmm.
even, I mean, the other people in his life as well, but I think that's a bit of a struggle at times too. There are times that he is like 50 Shades of done with Bodhi.
Hmm.
Like he
Yeah.
does not truly love anyone unconditionally except for Violet. Everyone
Yeah.
else has
And
some conditions.
there's so many sweet scenes that we see that throughout the book.
There
But I
are.
also love the villain arc of how he's like he's been in charge of all these people. He's in charge of Tyrrendor, and he's like, and it can all burn to the ground. Like you are my first
As
priority. And
long
I'm
as
just like,
Violet's fine.
we
Yes.
love a villain. We do.
He is true. Like
Yeah.
he has become something else entirely.
Well, and even to the bitter end, like he made sure he was taking care of her, though. Like it may
Mhm.
be in a very twisted way, and we
Yeah.
haven't fully understood why that happened the way it did, but
And I
Guys,
love
he
him.
did take care of
oh
her.
my gosh. Did you read Vampire Academy?
I
Yeah.
did not.
Okay. This whole
It's giving
situation
Dimitri.
gives Dimitri vibes. I don't want to spoil it for you, Katie, if you're going to read them, but it was one of my favorite series when we were in high school and very similar situation. So
Well,
we'll
I'm
see.
intrigued. I love that,
They're
like
very good.
that
They are very good.
plot
I
point.
don't know if they
Add them to my
stand the
TBR.
test of time. I have
I
not
know
read
I
them in a
haven't
long
reread
time, but
them.
they were very good in high school.
Well, I'll still add them, and if I don't like
10
it, I'll
years
just stop.
ago.
Yeah, I was gonna say though something about Zayden because you mentioned like how sweet he genuinely is
Yeah.
as well. And that was something that we got to see. Like when he was in Deverelli and he was just like
Yes.
happy, and
Yes.
I
everyone was like,
wanted to cry.
everyone was like, what's wrong with this man? And Violet's like, what? He's happy. Leave him
Leave him
alone.
Fuck.
alone. Let him be
I know, the
happy.
whole time I was like, can you all just leave him be?
They were just so shook because he's never gotten the chance to be. And they have never seen that before. But it was so pure.
It
Because again, like these
was.
are young people. They don't deserve to have the weight of the world on their shoulders.
No.
He is genuinely okay. He is so flirty, and I loved it. But then also, like, he is so the things that he does that genuinely show love
He's an acts
surpass.
of service
Oh
man.
my God. Yes, like she fell asleep, he marked her page with a dagger. Loved that. Whenever, whenever they like elbowed Violet in the face, what island was that? And he like killed everyone. It was one of the isles. That was wild. And then what really fucking got me is when Violet was struggling because Andarna left and she was full on depressed and he like bathed her and washed her hair. And I was like, I've never wanted to cry as much as I
It
have in
was
this moment.
giving like Rowan vibes
Very
from
Aelin Rowan
Throne of
coded
Glass
for
when he
sure.
Yes.
washed her hair and yeah,
Yeah, I
There's just
can't.
something so intimate about it. And yes.
it
It
was
was
so
it
sweet.
was better than any of the like sex scenes in this book.
Yeah. And you
100%.
know what? And that was something I was going to talk about later, but I'll talk about it right now. The
Don't get me started.
the intimacy in this book was just so I don't want to say wholesome. It was pure. Like the point of it wasn't like for them to have sex constantly. It was to show that like you could be intimate and still love each other in like different ways, like acts of service and
Hmm.
like the
Yeah.
words of affirmation that Violet would give him. And like there were some really great scenes between the two of them, but that wasn't the whole point. And I think that's what kind of lost me a little bit, maybe the first time when I read Fourth Wing is that it almost took you out of it a little bit, like
Hmm.
how much she kind of threw in there and how like over the top it was. I feel like this time around it was so tasteful and it was so well done
Yeah.
and like it
And
just it added to the story.
In Iron Flame, I
She did
thought it
that
was
too,
also
yeah.
tasteful as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, in Fourth Wing at first, I was kind of like, what are we doing? But I think also that was just a result of them wanting each other for so long.
Sure.
I
Um,
also feel like it's part of like their maturing in their relationship
mhm.
Yeah.
because like in Fourth Wing, it's very much like everything's new, everything's like do or die. Like Violet's not sure if she's going to like be able to do any of the things, and then as she's
Yeah.
become more sure of herself, they've become more emotionally intimate.
That's
Yeah.
true. Yes. Yeah,
But
it
I
really is
really
growth for
I
them.
loved to see that.
Yeah,
Loved it.
me too.
So next we'll talk about the cadets. They are so cute. I'm sorry, I'm messing this up on the screen. Don't look at me.
Everyone listening, close your eyes. Unless you're driving, don't close your eyes.
I'm so
Okay.
sorry. We'll talk about the cadets, the rider cadets first, because
Yeah.
there's a whole bunch of them, and then we'll talk about the flyer cadets,
There's a shit ton of them,
and then
y'all.
everybody else.
And everybody
Um,
else.
but we'll start with Riddick first
God, I
because he's
love
the
him.
best.
Mm.
Love him.
He was such a star this
Yeah.
book. He was he could have been the main character, truly, if he wanted to be.
Mm.
Like, he was just so great. And I feel like in Fourth Wing, like we got to see him a little bit, but he was just that annoying kid that like just tagged along everywhere and everyone's like, all right. And
Yeah.
then in Iron Flame, like we got to see a little bit more of his humor and he became like bigger in the book and we all loved him. But in this book, like he really just cemented a place in my heart.
He did. And also, not only was he like the comedic relief at so many like really important moments, but he also knew when to be so
Oh
serious.
yeah.
And he is such a protective friend. And he had like that heart to heart with Violet. He was like, no, you need to tell me right now, like, what is the line?
Yeah.
Like, how far can Xaden go that you are still going to support him? Because I'm going to
Hmm.
hold you to
Yeah.
that.
That was so real.
That was so real. And I was thinking about like how important it is that he was the character to show her that tough love because he is normally so like jokey and
Laissez-faire about
yeah,
Well,
everything.
and I think
Hmm.
that's how
exactly.
she knew it was serious because she's like, well, if Riddick's the one being like, you need to draw a line in the sand, she's like, I probably need to draw a line in the
Yeah.
sand.
He's never serious.
Like, I should probably reconsider.
No, for real.
His relationship with his dragon was so good.
Hilarious.
Like, I want to know Aetrum's like internal monologue because I'm sure all the other dragons are just sick of him.
Yeah, just like we were sick of Riddick
And
at
they're the
first.
same person, yes.
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 Oh my God. Yeah, the fact that they have a prank war is hilarious.
I was so
Yes.
mad that we didn't get an inner monologue between Atrum and Riddick. Like, we literally got everybody else's dragons.
I know. I wanted more because when she started doing that, what did we got two. We got Rhiannon and Imogen.
Yeah.
And when she started doing that, I was like, oh, fuck yeah. Like, we're about to get like 4 or 5. And then
I'm
she was
so
like, I'm
excited.
done. She was like, that's
Well,
enough crumbs for you.
and I'm sure she did that intentionally because something big will happen with both of them, like
Yeah,
in the
and I
next
hope it's
book.
not devastating because I'll
Well,
cry.
well, we'll see.
Well,
Well, who knows? But yeah, so we had Riddick and we had Rhiannon, which, we didn't really get to see a ton of Rhi
yeah,
in
because
this
she was
book
back at
because
school.
she was tending to students like the good squad leader she is.
She's such a mother.
She is, and she is going to be so successful. She is such a powerhouse. She's good at what she does and she knows it. But yeah, I have nothing but respect for her. I did love her POV because her dragon's really badass, and so
Oh,
is she.
yes. Yes,
For
I loved
sure.
it.
But I love that all of the dragons are like, I'm not going to do this for you. Like, I will guide you and I will give you feedback even if you don't ask for it, but like you got to figure it out.
Yeah, they're so cool. Like I love the dragons. And it was so refreshing to get more of their voices.
I do fear for Ree in the next book. I think, I don't know. Unfortunately, I think she may not make it. I think anybody in the group,
Everybody's fair game at this
anybody
point.
in the
Like,
group could go.
The
I'm
only
prepared for
one we know
anything.
for sure is going to live is Jasenia. That's it.
Yep.
Yeah. Rebecca did say in an interview recently that someone that we love is going to not make it next book. So
Oh,
who knows? I hope it's not Riddick.
it's gonna
It's
really
probably
hurt
gonna
my
be Riddick.
feelings.
It's gonna be Riddick, but I hope it's not. I hope it's not Sawyer either because he went through a lot.
He's already
I
been through it.
know.
Leave Sawyer alone.
Yeah, let's talk about Sawyer real quick.
First of all, him learning sign for Jasenia is really
So
cute.
cute.
And I
So
just love
cute.
their relationship so much. Like, it's so pure. And also, he was really struggling at the beginning of this book, and it was really powerful to see him like overcoming the challenges of now being disabled and having to figure out how to mount his dragon and
hmm
fight alongside the rest of his riders. Like, that
Yeah.
was really
Well,
interesting character
and
development for him.
that just really, I think, kind of solidified the bond between him and Violet as well, because Violet herself has
Mhm.
disabilities that require, extra help from her dragon. And I think Sawyer was just so embarrassed that
Yeah.
he felt like he wasn't a true rider because he had to have extra help. And so his dragon and Violet and Taryn like all showing him like, no, it can be done. And if your dragon like respects you as a rider, they'll make it happen.
Yeah.
And so when they finally did figure it out, like it was just a very heartwarming moment.
I wish we had like his perspective so we could see with his dragon, you know?
Yeah, that would be very sweet.
It was so
But
good.
I do hope he's in the book a little bit more in the next one, now that he's like fully back to where he needs to
Back
be.
in it. Back in the game, coach.
Bodhi, he's so
What's he been up
sus.
to?
Dude,
Flying.
I got big ol' Bodhi loves Violet feels from this book, and I did not get
Yeah.
that from the last one.
Yeah.
I
And I got
actually
it a little
did
bit
get
in
it.
Fourth Wing.
I did kind of get an Iron Flame too, though,
Did
because
you?
yeah, because you remember Bodhi's jacket is the one that Violet was wearing
Oh,
when
That's
she showed up to see
right.
Xaden. And he not only was he just like jealous she was wearing a jacket, but whenever he found out that it was Bodhi's, it seemed to make him more upset.
That's true. Probably because
And he
Bodhi
can
is
read
so
Because he knows
intentions.
intentions, yes.
I do think Bodhi is in love with Violet, low key. High
And
key.
that's probably why Xaden is just like always slightly pissed off with him too.
Yeah. Oh, and then whenever Violet during Onyx Storm was like, maybe I fell in love with the wrong, like, one, like, kind of joking,
Yeah.
Zayden
He
was,
like lost his
oh,
shit.
put a
Yeah.
stop to that so fast. He said, do not make me kill my last living relative because I'll
And
do
I
it.
said, "Oh, be so for
And I said,
real.
"Oh, what if
We
you
love a
did?"
villain."
Wow.
Well, and
Wow.
so I'm wondering too if like that was one of Zayden's backup plans also is that like he knew he was going to turn full venom and he knew Bodhi was going to take over and he was like if she's gonna be safe, she's gonna be safe with him type thing.
Mm.
Because again, he can read intentions. And so this is where it gets a little hairy, is that
Hmm.
he can read intentions, but I do think Bodhi is the one that turned Venom at the end. And
Yeah.
so how did Xaden
Like miss that.
miss that, you know?
Yeah.
I
Well,
feel like he
unless
had a reason
Bodhi
if it was him.
decided in like a split second to do
True.
it.
I don't know. I just get bad vibes from him, and I'm wondering if his second signet, because he said he doesn't have one, is being
And we know
able
that's a
to like
lie.
Liar.
block other signets. Because he can absorb them, right? Or
Yeah.
no, he can't
He
block
He
them.
can
can
block
block
He
them.
them.
can
And
block them.
that's why I think it's him that's I think that's why he
So
turned
Xaden
Venom.
probably can't read his intentions.
Oh, I didn't
Oh,
even think about that. You're so
yes, Tab,
right.
you're
That's
right.
right. Yeah, he can't read his intentions.
Yeah, countering signets.
Oh
But he
my
can't
God.
but he can't do it to Venom, which is why I think it's him. I think that's why he
So,
turned.
oh, so
Like
that whenever he becomes Venom,
I think
it,
he thinks if he turns Venom, he can use his signet against
and
Venom.
he's probably
Interesting.
right.
He probably can.
But at what cost?
I wonder how long he's been cooking up a plan and Xaden just had no idea because he can't read his intentions. But also, what's his second signet? Because he lied. I know he
Yeah, that's a
lied.
lie.
And
Yeah,
he was
because we
like,
found out Imogene's.
yeah, I don't have a second signet just like Xaden.
Yeah, and
But
And
Zayden
we were
does
all
have a
like,
second
what?
signet.
but Xaden may not have told I don't think Xaden told anybody but Sigale that he is an
Oh, no,
intrinsic.
you're right. That is
That makes
true.
so much sense.
But I do think he has a second signet and he's trying to use Zayden. Like, I
But
think he knows Zayden has a
hold
second
on.
one.
If he said the words just like Zayden's, what if he's also intrinsic? And
Could
so
be because they're related,
he knows that Zayden's intrinsic because he's intrinsic and can literally read it. And he's like,
potentially.
yeah, I don't have one just like Zayden.
Yeah. So I don't know. I think there's a lot more going on to him and
And the
nobody
fact
can
that
read
we
him.
think he's in love with Violet too just adds a
Mhm.
layer. You know what I mean?
I think that's
Yes.
going
Is
to.
he the brother that turns, and that's why he turns?
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. What if? Yeah, maybe. I don't know. Because he definitely did not want power. He did not want to
No.
rule. And I do think that was part of why he decided to do that was because it was his get out of jail free card. He's like, well, if I turn Ben in, like, I
Okay,
don't
okay,
have to
okay.
rule.
When I reread the last like 100 pages of this book today,
Mhm.
Mhm.
Oh, yeah. Casual.
when Xaden says, like, is talking about the person that's in the field surrounded by venom, about how he
Yeah.
can't believe they turn, he's not talking about how I thought he would about Bodhi. Because, like, he doesn't consider the person he's talking about a brother. And it's just not how I would have pictured him reacting
He
to
doesn't?
seeing Bodhi there.
Hold on, because Zayden also he
Hold
was
on.
fully like losing his emotions at that point too.
He
Yeah.
So
was,
I feel like we can't
but
trust his
But he
like,
did say it was someone
hold
that
on.
he knew, like that knew he was struggling for the last 5 months.
5
So it really
months.
narrows it down to Garrick, Bodhi,
Yeah.
Imogen, and that's it. There was like 2 seconds where they said it was somebody that he loved like a brother, and I thought it was going to be Liam somehow. But
Yeah.
then
Mm.
when they were like, but the
Well,
last
Violet
five,
even thought that at one point in the book.
yeah.
Because, like, whenever they said the word brother, she was like, the only person that's ever been considered Zayden's brother is Liam. But they were talking about Jack because they were both
Mhm.
turned by the same sage.
Yeah.
Okay,
So,
I found the little like excerpt, and I know we're
Yeah,
like
read it.
getting into okay. I glanced past Berwin, past Sigale and the venom to my new brother. Like new brother.
well,
Not my brother.
because
I
Berwin
know,
changed him.
but if he was talking about Bodhi, he considered Bodhi a brother. Like he said it
Yeah.
so many times. In the unconscious dragon lying in the valley beyond the canyon, guarded by 7 wyvern. How could he do this? Choose this after watching me stumble and fall over the last 5 months. How could he willingly walk the path I fought like hell to leave? He's the last person I would ever expected to turn, and yet here we are.
I
Or
don't
it's
know.
Dane. Well, Dane didn't know he
Dane
was
didn't
been in the.
know.
Yeah.
It has to be like one
It
of
has to
their
be Garrick
close
or
group.
Bodhi.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I feel like, okay, so let's talk about this now because we were going to
Or
talk about it later.
Brennan.
Brennan was
Or
on my list
Brennan!
too,
Or
but
Brennan.
he's accounted for at the end
Oh,
though.
Okay,
well,
yeah, you're right. Oh, yeah, because he
No,
talked.
what?
he is.
He talked to
No,
Violet.
but
He
that
talked to
doesn't mean,
Violet.
but that
No, no, no,
doesn't mean
no.
he's not Venice.
No. Before the end of, so if he turned Bennett, it had to be before the fight because he was healing people
That's
like
true.
at the compound. Like
He
there
healed
were people
Mira.
that
Oh, okay.
saw him.
It's
I
Yes.
not
see.
Brennan.
Because
Yeah.
I also thought it was Brennan at first, and then I went
Um,
back and reread. I was like, no, it can't be Brennan. So it has to be Garrick or Bodhi.
Sure. Yeah, agreed. So let's talk about then. So we've said like what Bodhi's motives would have been. So what would
Hmm.
Garrick's motives have been? Like obviously he
Because
I
was
don't think he would have
running out
meant
of
to.
power to walk.
I think that's his motive was he
I
didn't have
think
enough power to do it,
But
and
then like that's a crazy thing to do. That's a crazy solution to that problem. You know what I
I
mean?
unless he
Because now
didn't
you're
mean
Venice.
to.
like protection took over and it was like to the point where like he wanted to try to like help Zayden, but he was too late type thing.
Hmm.
But I
Well,
don't know. That would have been such a quick turnaround though, because he was there when Imogen found Quinn.
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So
So, like
And he
when
said
when would he have
he said he
gone?
didn't have the power to walk again after getting Imogen and Quinn out of that
but then
like
he
tower.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
So he
But
couldn't
then he
have walked to
does.
Zayden. Oh, he did?
Yeah, hold on, I'm finding it.
Oh, fuck.
Because he does walk again after that. So he gets them out. Where
Hmm.
are you going? I shout at Garrick's back. I can't walk again. Even if I made it to Arisha, I'd never be strong enough to get back. So I better find some fucking way to do something. And then that's the
Yeah.
last we see of him.
Hmm.
So I don't know how much time goes on in between these two things.
Yeah, I don't either.
It
My
really
money's on Bodhi.
it could be either, but yeah, I am leaning towards
I'm
Bodhi
leaning
as
towards
well.
Bodhi, but I don't know if we have all of the reasoning behind it. Unless like Zayden, okay, my other theory here is
Hmm.
that at the end of Iron Flame, Zayden was the one that went and got Liam's body, and we don't know what happened to it. So if Liam was like alive and like something had happened and like he put him off to say, I don't know. I'm just
At
hoping
the end
he's
of
We
alive.
Fourth
saw
Wing, you
Liam.
mean?
Yeah, did I say Iron Flame? I meant
Yeah, I
Fourth
think
Wing.
so.
We saw Liam's ghost was there though, and I mean I guess it could have been just a hallucination,
Yeah,
but
it could have been. But that was weird because in Iron Flame, when she saw Liam, she could feel him as well.
hmm
Yeah. I don't know. I am just grasping at straws for him. So,
Yeah,
like
we
that could
just
mean
want
nothing.
Liam to be
I just
alive
want him to
more
come
than
back,
anything.
but he's probably dead and gone and it's fine. But I did think that was who it was at first.
Okay, so let's talk about Imogen because we got a lot from her. We got an entire chapter from her perspective, and it was one of the most heart-wrenching chapters in the book.
I was certainly
God.
not expecting it.
No. And it was so like obviously we knew like Rebecca do be killing people, so we knew we probably were going to lose someone, but I
Yeah.
think I just was so distracted by how exciting it was that we were getting Imogen's perspective with her dragon and like she was such a badass. And then we saw like her second signet manifest, and so I was so distracted. And then all of a sudden I was crying in the club.
But you know what? I thought it was going to be Garrick.
Yeah.
I did
Instead of,
too.
and
And I
so
was
like
going to sob.
selfishly, I am glad it was Quinn, but um.
Sorry, Quinn. Rest in peace, Quinn.
And
And
I'll talk
also,
about Quinn separately because there's a lot I would like to say about Quinn.
Yeah,
But
let's.
I can't imagine what she's going through.
No, and like, why her second signet? I'm wondering if anyone knew about it, but like, oh, okay. I was gonna ask why she hid it, but they hid it because they're not supposed to have second
Because they can't
signets.
too.
Okay,
yeah.
because I was like, that doesn't seem like one that would get you killed, but yeah, you're not supposed to have
And
No,
two
no,
she did
it
in the
it
would get
first
her
place.
right.
killed.
She did it right in front of Dane too. That's the other
Yes,
thing.
and he was like, "We'll talk about this later."
I think at this point they trust Dane.
Dane's
Yeah,
So
they
gotten
do.
really cool about a lot of things really quickly.
yeah,
Real
Dane's
fast.
like, listen, nothing matters
Dane's like,
anymore.
I've been lied to my entire life.
The
He has
world is a
been.
lie.
But Imogen, super cool. She stays cool. And yeah, at the end, she erases Violet's memory. But
And
says that Violet asked her to.
yeah, it's
I
like, I want to know how many hours we lost.
Yeah.
it looks like
And because it
12.
was
12.
multiple,
Okay.
It
and
looks
like,
like about 12.
what the fuck happened in the 12 hours when she blacked out to now?
So the
Hmm.
last thing that we get is Xaden trying to convince Taryn to let him and Sigil near Violet,
Hmm.
and
Mhm.
maybe Andarna too. Like it's hard to figure out who Xaden is worried about, but I think it was Taryn. And then the next thing we see is Violet not remembering the last 12 hours. So somewhere in that time, they schemed. She agreed to go get married and got that certificate. And then Xaden went off to complete whatever plan that they cooked up. But she
Yeah,
can't know about it because she knows that they'll use Dane
I
to
have a
see her
theory.
memories.
It's
Mm.
about
What's your
Arik.
theory? Okay.
You know how Arik left at the end and like
Yeah.
disappeared? I wonder if he knew Xaden was going to have to get married and have to have the priestess's approval. And like they were already going to say yes
Because he
because
was
Violet
already
saved them.
there.
But I wonder if Arik went ahead of them to like get everything prepared so that like he
Because
could
he,
assist
Yeah, I'm
them.
sure he did, and that's why he made that dagger out of the
that's how
temple
he got the
too. Like
dagger.
Yeah.
Yeah.
he did it all at once.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was
Hmm.
doing his thing. He did his part.
He did. You know what? He did.
Yeah.
He is an unbothered queen. We'll talk about him later, but
I like that you call him a queen when well, I was gonna say he's literally a king, but he's not. He's a prince.
he is
He's
so
a prince.
unbothered.
Uh,
Um,
so unbothered.
remains to be seen what happened with that, and we have to wait fucking 2 years to figure it out, but it's fine.
But
It's
also, before we move on from Imogen, I thought it was hilarious that her dragon feels the like tension between her and Garrick, and I cannot
Oh,
wait. I
yes.
cannot wait for that to be threshed out more in the next book.
unless
Yeah.
Garrick actually dies this time. He almost did like
Fuck.
18 times this book.
He came close a lot. When he
Yeah.
So
ate that poison cake, I was like, brother.
God
I
fucking
feel
damn
like
it.
unfortunately they're gonna have like a lover's death and they'll go down
We
together
already lost Traeger. I mean, they already
because
gave us a lover's
she
death.
she did
Boo.
say no, they're gonna die together fighting. Because
Mm.
Imogen always said like she always knew she would die in battle, but it wouldn't be this battle, and I think it's gonna be like her and Garrick like going down together.
That's gonna really hurt my
That's
feelings.
gonna
I'm
hurt a
gonna
little bit.
cry.
The only part of this book that made me cry was Quinn's death, and I think it
Oh.
partially was just because I first didn't expect it, and just the dialogue between her and Imogen
Oh,
was so gut-wrenching. I wrote down some of these quotes, and it may make me cry again. I don't know. But when Quinn was like laying there and Imogen was trying to like comfort her, and she kept saying, like, I'm really scared and I don't want to be scared. And so Imogen was like, don't worry, when you cross over, you're gonna have two people waiting for you. It was like her mom and her sister, and she's like, yeah, they'll know me.
they'll know you and
And
they'll love you.
yeah. And I was like, oh, okay. So that was terrible. But then like the flashback to when they very first met at the parapet, and they're like, well,
Yes.
we may not have a long friendship, but we'll make it a good one. And then right before she died, she said, we made it a good one, didn't we, Imogen? And I was like, oh,
That really hurt my feelings.
I was like, it was 3 in the morning when I was reading this, just
Oh
like
no.
tears like staining my pillowcase. Like
Yeah,
so upset.
I was devastated as well. And like, this is not the only death that made me cry. Traeger's death did make me cry as well. But
Oh,
that his was
Same.
surrounded by laughter, and Quinn's
yeah.
was not. Quinn's was just surrounded by more chaos and sadness. So that one hit harder, I think.
Yeah. Oh man, it just caught me so off guard because there was so much vulnerability, I think, because the writers are supposed to be like these badass people, but it
Tough.
humanized her when she was so
Yeah. When she
scared
said she was
for
scared.
like what was going to come next. And I was like,
And
"Oh, you're just a girl."
and she was like, tell my girlfriend that I love her. And she had just gotten people to safety, like civilians to
And
safety.
like they were supposed to get married and be stationed together, and
That really hurt.
yes, I'll probably never reread this book just so I don't have to read that ever again.
You just skip Imogen's chapter when you see
Yeah.
Imogen at the top. Just nope,
Um,
didn't happen.
because that was so sick and twisted, Rebecca.
Mm.
Sick and twisted. Anyway, we need to move on from her. I'll throw up. Now let's circle back to
Oh,
Arik.
fucking Arik.
Let's circle
He's
back.
cool. He's really cool.
He is really cool.
And
However,
his signet is really
scary.
fucking insane. Yeah, like he has precog and that's awesome, but like that makes him such a target.
And what's so funny about his situation is that, he can see multiple outcomes, right?
Hmm.
And so, like, when he went in there, like, he's probably been saying all the different ways he could fucking die because of someone finding out what his signet is. And he has probably just been, like, strategizing how to make it through at this point.
Wait, that's
They're
actually
going to
so
eventually,
anxiety
they're
inducing.
gonna have to eventually like find a cover though, or
Yeah,
Yeah.
classify
because
it
like
because if he doesn't manifest one,
they're gonna be like, why
They're
haven't
like,
you
what is
exploded
it?
yet?
Yeah.
That's
And
crazy.
it's like,
But that could be why he's like staying away right now too.
then they have
yeah.
to think too, like some of them don't know, first of all, that he's the prince. Some of them do until Halden showed up and kind of blew his cover.
Hmm.
Fucking
But
Halden,
now
dude.
it's going to come to a point where if they do find out his signet, are they going to treat him like a writer or are they going to treat him like a prince?
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
Like,
Like, could he have some kind of immunity?
Immunity.
yeah, will his
Mm-hmm.
father let him live because he is in line for the throne?
Because you know who
Oh,
shouldn't be king? Fucking
Halden.
Halden.
Holden.
Halden's gonna meet a gruesome death. I just
I
know it.
I just
cannot
know it.
wait.
Don't
Um,
you even worry about it. Halden's not making it out of this alive.
I do.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, he needs to go.
No.
I do also think Arik was another like comedic relief. Not quite as obvious as Riddick, but there were just so many things that he did that were just like clever and funny. And like one of them was the fact that he is fluent in all of the language they needed to speak, but just didn't say anything until Dane started struggling, and he was like, all right.
Well, because he probably knew too, he's like, this fucking guy. Like, he probably saw it at some point, like, yep, they're gonna need me because
Because Dane
Dane's a
Aetos doesn't
fucking
can't.
know
idiot.
shit.
Yeah. Well, Dane was fluent in like a couple of them, I think, just
Yeah.
not all of them.
I
Yeah.
know. And
That's
I
so
think he
funny.
did feel bad, like, having to step in because I don't think he wanted to embarrass Dane, but he was just
No.
like,
But
dude,
at the
like,
same time,
move over.
I know we were talking a lot about like how shady Arik was acting, but
But it
now that
makes
like
sense.
knowing that he's a precog, I feel like he was really trying to not influence the timeline,
Yeah.
yeah.
like butterfly effect, because if he were to tell somebody like something that's going to happen, that's going to impact their decisions and potentially change what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Exactly. And it could make it worse.
Yeah. So like for the sake of him at least knowing what's going to happen and being able to prepare for it, I think that he should keep it to himself.
Well,
Yeah.
and I definitely feel like he's one that like he's self-sacrificial, first of all. Like
Hmm.
he's like, I don't fucking want to be king. Like I don't think Halden should, but I don't want to either.
He's like
And
Bodhi.
so yeah, and so he was like, he probably has a timeline where he's going to have to do something that is self-sacrificial. And that's again probably a reason why he's maybe not telling anybody because it's going to cause someone to die,
Yeah.
Yep.
potentially him. And I don't know how it's gonna shake out, but like I'm sure he has seen some shit that like he just can't tell people
Yeah.
because it has to happen that way. Like
Yeah.
that's a tough signet to have. Because you do have to be the right person to have that, I think. Like you
Yeah.
can't be meddlesome with the timeline
Yeah. You've got to be
Mm-mm.
very patient and smart.
and
And I think
understanding on
he's both
why
of
things
those.
have to happen the way they do.
Yeah.
That's honestly probably why he got along with the priestesses so much because they also have like they have some sort of precognition because they
Hmm.
have those prophecies.
True.
I
That's
bet he's been
interesting.
training with them, and that's why he
Ooh, that's why
knew.
he's
Keep
been gone so
sneaking
long.
away.
Yeah, I bet that's where he's been going is to like train with the priestesses.
That's a cool
Mm,
theory. I like that.
I feel like he's definitely going to be a key character, and he is going to rule, I think. Like he is eventually going to be king. I just think it's going to be a very like traumatic route to get there.
Let's talk about Dane.
Oh my God, I would love to. I would love
I
nothing more than
cannot
to talk
tell
about
you
Dane.
how Dane did a full 180 in my opinion of him.
And he had been flipping for me since Iron
Yeah,
Flame, but like, whew, girl.
he was so powerful
I
in
didn't
this
like
book.
want him until Onyx Storm.
I
Like
had the full Aetos effect in
I
this
had
book.
eyes here, eyes here.
Yes, sir.
Shook me to my core. I really think his redemption arc started, like we said, in Iron Flame, but it just like peaked so hard in this book. Like he is doing everything in his power now to help his friends and right the wrongs that he was somewhat responsible for. And I think we also just got our last lingering anger at Dane was wiped away when he got that little slap across the face in
Yeah,
Zahilna. I was like, yeah, he deserved that, but now that's enough
he's
All
punishment.
debts are
absolved.
cleared. All
Yeah,
debts
he's
are
absolved
cleared.
of the crimes. He's good.
Yeah, and I hate that it had to happen this way for him. Like I hate that it took his dad being a fucking villain,
I know.
and causing like the potential downfall of their entire continent for him to be like, oh, okay, fine.
But he didn't know any
He
different.
did it. And like you can't blame him because again, he's just a kid.
Yeah, he and the person who was lying to him was his father, who he
The one
trusted and
person
respected
you
so
should
much.
inherently trust. Yeah, so literally he can do no wrong in my eyes at this point, and I feel like he is growing into a good man, and he is going to be a very good husband to Sloane when they inevitably get married.
When they
And
I
fall in love.
love the wing leader effect, dude. Like the fact that
oh,
Dane gave Violet so much shit for sleeping with Zayden, and then he's gonna
Yes.
do the same fucking thing with Sloane.
You're so right.
and
Now
it's
he's
like
a
a
little
real
rule breaker.
enemies to lovers thing with them too. Like,
Yes.
Well, okay, it's cool because I saw someone online say how Dane and Sloane are like the inverse of Violet and Xaden because like Sloane and Xaden are both like children of the rebellion, whereas Dane and Violet are both like the opposite of that, like children of
Yep.
high-ranking officials
mhm.
of Navarre.
Yeah.
And they just are kind of in that way. Rebecca has also written another kind of like balancing effect that I think is
Yeah.
cool.
Well, and Sloane's a little rule breaker too. Like
Yeah.
she, and I think that's gonna really humble him.
Because she was
So,
like, I'm going to hurt you. And he said, Don't I know it?
And I'm like, oh.
But speaking of that, when she was siphoning his power into Brennan,
mhm.
uh, Sloane said, Someone like you shouldn't have this much power to Dane. So
Yes.
I want to talk about like some possibilities that have gone through my mind, and then we can see what you guys think. So I thought one possibility could be that he somehow has a second signet. But that's like probably not likely because the other people who do are either marked or Violet, who has two dragons. The other thing is his signet could be like growing somehow. And then the other thing that I thought is like if you bond to a dragon who has previously
Yeah.
like been with another member of your family,
Mm-hmm.
then your powers are stronger. So, do we know anything about his mom? Like, could
No.
she have been a writer? But
She
then,
could have been.
how would that be a secret? Like, how would that have not come up yet?
Well, so I'm
Right.
wondering too, because Dane is technically a type of intrinsic as well. Like Zayden's intrinsic abilities were changing and manifesting differently. It was the same ability, so I wonder if Dane's are also just continuing to change and manifest. And eventually, like if you're one type of intrinsic, you can learn how to be like
All
every
of
type
them?
of yeah.
There was also a comment about how Xaden was able to get through Mira's shield.
Shield.
Shields, yes.
Yeah,
And
because
Violet was
he
like,
said
his
she
is
doesn't have the
growing.
intention to tell anybody.
Mhm.
And Violet's like, how did you get through Mira's shield? So
Yeah,
yeah, that just supports the fact that, and I don't know if that's because he was turning venom and his powers were getting stronger because of that,
that
or
could
if because
be.
his intrinsic abilities were improving.
Yeah,
But
because we know for sure that definitely their signets can improve because Riddick showed us like he got more powerful with his signet where he straight up froze a wyvern from the inside out, which was crazy. So we know that they can grow, but also I see what you're saying where it could be the fact that Zayden was Venom.
Well, and I'm wondering too if, like, back on that vein with his mom, like, his dad has something to hide, and like maybe he somehow like figured it out recently because like he was very like I think distant and kind of quiet for a lot of the book, because he was obviously sorting through some of his own stuff.
he
But
was going through some shit.
yeah, I
Yeah.
wonder if like he did like figure something out at some point about like his mom's line. But I don't know. I don't
Do
know. They
we
never really
know
mentioned her.
anything about his mom? Like I'm just
No.
trying to think. Let me
They always
Google it.
said that he grew up with Violet and that his dad was always really close to General Sorrengail, but like I don't think he has siblings. You know what I else I thought was really funny about Dane? was when Violet shows up to that like bookshop or whatever in the first island they stopped at.
Oh my
And
God.
the lady was talking to Xaden and she was like, the one and only Dane Aetos. And
Like
he
your
was like,
father
what
knew
the
you two.
fuck?
Yeah. Oh, that was so awkward. I loved
I
it.
died. I
Because I mean he truly did think they were going to end up together. And in another life, maybe they would have.
We wouldn't have liked Dane if they'd stayed together because he wouldn't have had all of this wonderful growth.
Yeah.
True.
This was good for him.
It was.
But yeah, I'm interested to see what happens. I did think that was a very weird comment that Sloan made. And
Yeah.
again,
Mm-hmm.
Rebecca is not one to like throw in
Make,
useless
yep.
information.
Yeah. So we don't know what it means yet, but it's
But
important.
I do think I think everyone's power is growing, and that could just be like, I don't know, maybe that's
Maybe a
something with
result of
the
the war.
maybe, or
Like,
it could be that intrinsics work a little differently and they would never know because they always kill them off.
mhm.
Yeah, they haven't studied them.
True.
Who's to say?
Well, let's talk about Sloane really
Sloanie
quick.
girl.
She's a cutie pie.
She is cutie pie. And she's so fierce.
She's very strong.
She is so strong. I hate that she is just struggling so hard with her ability though, and that she's carrying that guilt that she thinks she killed Lilith, even though it was certainly Lilith's choice to do
Yes,
that.
Lilith
Oh,
sacrificed herself. Like, girl,
But
she was gonna do it.
I think it's
yeah.
just because like their mom, she blames Lilith for her mom's death, even though we find out it wasn't really Lilith's fault.
Hmm.
And then to turn around and like have to kill her, like I just don't think she was ready for that kind of like
Mm-mm.
baggage.
Yes. But I hope that she's able to see it for what it is in the future. That like we said, Lilith was going to do it no matter what. So really what she did was ensure that it meant something,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
and actually saved them.
Well, and I
And
think by her saving Mira or like helping save Mira, that like
yes,
balanced it out for her.
It'll make
balance.
absolve her.
Yeah.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of get rid of that guilt.
This whole book's about absolution and forgiveness.
Mm-hmm.
Ah,
It is about balance. So I am excited to see what Sloane does. It's just she reminds me so much of Liam, and
I
it's
miss
just so
him.
sad. He lives on through her. Okay, circling back to Garrick really quick because his second signet is so dope.
It's very cool.
It's so cool. I wonder how many times they've used that, like to travel to and from Tyrrendor.
They've had to use it. Like in the
They've
first
had to
book,
have
they
used
had to have been
it.
using it.
Hmm.
Because I think Xaden was the only person that knew about it, but it was
Mm-hmm.
always him and Garrick that would go on like runs and
Out on
stuff
those
together.
missions.
And so I'm wondering if like that's how they were bringing back like all of the daggers and everything. Because like the dragons would have been too noticeable, but like Garrick walking them back and forth basically, like that would have been the only way they could get him.
Yeah. I love Garrick.
I do too. Again, hope he doesn't die. Love him.
He was
Except when he
trying.
like yoinked down that cake.
I'm so sorry, but
Like,
I was cracking up when she's like, "Nobody ate the cake," and he's like, "What cake?" And it's like crumbs like running down his face.
Oh my God. And
yeah.
What
that
do you
would have
mean?
just been embarrassing if that's
So
how it had been.
What a
embarrassing.
way to go. Like,
Yeah, no,
Yeah, at
Rebecca
least he would
can't
have
do
died
him
doing
like
what he
that.
loves. Yeah. Okay, Mira. So she had, oh, you know what? This makes me think of something because whoever wrote this first point that she was feeling jealous,
It was me, and I would like, yeah.
she
Um,
was feeling jealous. That's a good point.
So it we were talking about this a little bit earlier, but the story of the Barons, like it was about the three siblings, right?
mm-hmm.
And it just reminded me a lot of Mira because Violet has all these powers and her dad has set her on this journey basically and like has left her all these like tasks to complete where like Brennan has like the whole rebellion that he's helping run and he has really moved into like the tierish like rebellion side of things and so Mira's kind of left just unsure of like what's going
Mm-hmm.
on and like it even said like she left because she felt jealous and like she wasn't returning any of the messages Violet was sending and she would disappear for days at a time and like part of that was to go visit their father's mother to find out more information but it did remind me of that story of like the jealous
Hmm.
third brother.
And
um
someone argued that it wouldn't make sense for them to be the siblings because none of them are flyers. However, Mira is very good at the runes.
yeah.
And that's kind of the Flyers thing. So it's kind of like, okay, maybe they're not literally the people from the Fable because
Yeah.
obviously they couldn't literally be them, but
I
could
don't
Yeah.
they be like
think
a reincarnation of that?
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be word for word what happened in the fable. I think it's more just like the general gist of like
Symbolic.
the three siblings and one of them's jealous and it's going to cause them to do something that they'll regret and like it'll cause them to like do
Yeah.
something like irrevocable.
I
Yeah.
just thought it was so shady that like she would not tell Violet what she found out from the grandparents
Yes.
Yeah,
If someone finds out a secret about their
about their
sibling
sibling. I know.
and then tells the other sibling that it's
but
not
not
about, but
her.
not the one that it affects directly, like what the fuck?
I mean, it must
Hmm.
be something really devastating. Like it must be
But
something
still, you're
bad.
gonna need to sit her down and be
Right.
honest.
So we're definitely going to meet the grandma at some point. Like I'm sure of
Oh
it.
yeah. I hope next book.
This lady's gonna be a kook too. I just know it.
Well, the lady at the bookstore was kind of kooky and I loved her
Yeah, like
energy.
she's gonna be a fucking nut.
I love it.
Can't wait. Also, the fact that
Uh,
Mira almost fucking died.
Oh, that stressed me out. Okay.
yeah.
At one point, I was reading, but I had to work early the next morning. It was like midnight. And Cole, that's my husband for the listeners, he was like, "You're gonna need to close that book and go to bed." Well, the last thing I had read was that Mira
No.
got her throat slit. And I was like,
No.
all right, fuck, I guess I'm just gonna
Like,
have to
let me just close this book
compartmentalize.
really quick.
That was rough.
Yeah. And like honestly, I feel like that's for a reason because Mira's going to be a key player later on, whether that be her turning against her family or like her being like just a big part in the rebellion.
Hmm.
So, I mean, she wouldn't just save her for no reason.
That and saving her was such a big deal too.
It
Like it
was a
took a
huge
lot
deal.
of effort.
Yeah. I'm not sure about either of the siblings. I won't lie to you because I still get really sus vibes from Brennan as
Yep.
well. I
Same.
Yes.
always have. I've just never felt good about him.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, the fact that everyone thought he was dead and he
Yeah,
lied about it. That's crazy,
it was
for one.
insane. I get why he did it, but that's insane.
But it's insane. And the rune-shaped scars on his palms keep coming up. What's
Yes.
going on? What is
I
that?
don't know.
We know nothing about Nolan.
See,
Like,
and I wonder
Yes.
if it's from something when he saved Naolin.
mm-hmm.
Yeah, like did whatever he did like mark him somehow?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. If
Like
he
he
like
accidentally, maybe he accidentally like channeled and it, but why would that leave scars on him?
maybe when he mended him, like he found a rune to like I don't know.
Because that's my thing is like, if
Ooh.
he turned Venom, he's gonna be able to mend himself so that nobody
Yeah.
knows.
Do you think like he accidentally turned Venom and then he used those runes to fix himself? But if that's the case, then why wouldn't he have done that to Zayden?
I
What
was
if
like,
he's
why
just
did he
saying he
have
can't? Because I think Brennan's working with the Venom.
Yeah, because I think Naolin could be, we're going to talk about this later too. I think Naolin could be the he that Theophany is referring to.
agreed?
But I do have other ideas for that as
I
well.
just don't think Naolin's name would keep coming up like that unless he is going to be important later on.
And the fact that Taryn won't talk about it, period.
Yes, he
Yeah.
shuts it
Like
down
that's
every time.
so sketchy.
Which I
And
have a theory about that as
what
well.
he says is, we won't talk about the one that came before. That's
Yeah.
the
Not the one
words
that
he used.
died.
Not the
The
one that
one that
died.
came before.
The one that
And
came before.
okay, and also really quick, I said I'll talk about it later. This part I do. So Terrence said he won't survive having another writer, and I think it's because Nayland broke that bond with him when he turned Venom. Like I don't think it was Nayland dying. I
Hmm.
think it was Nayland like taking something from Taryn, and that's why he's been like
Ah,
slowly weakening.
Oh shit. Leave my father alone.
I know. That's just a theory though.
That's
I
just a
don't know.
theory.
it would make sense though. I mean, there's gonna be something that comes up with Nailin, or they wouldn't have made this big of a deal about
It's
it.
gonna
Oh, for
So
kill
sure.
Taryn too, I think.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I
Stop.
just
I
don't think he's
can't.
gonna make it. I think it's Taryn who may die in the next book, and that's who Rebecca's gonna take from
Oh
us.
my God. That would be so
And
crazy.
Darna is gonna get her wing fixed, and she's gonna grow big and strong. And
Fuck.
yeah, I know. I don't know.
mm.
Anyway,
Okay, well, let's talk about the flyer. Oh,
oh
well,
my,
are you done talking about Brennan?
I'm done with Brennan, but
Okay.
yeah, let's move
Yeah,
on
let's talk
to
about
the
the
Flyers.
flyers. Cat cannot
Can't
catch
catch
a
a break.
fucking break.
No.
She has got it rough, y'all. Like,
Dude,
She doesn't deserve this.
nope.
doesn't. She's just a girl too.
She
And
is.
she's also got the weight of the world on her shoulders. Like she's in line for the throne. She
Hmm.
has the only
She's
people she
literally
has in her life
Caltaine.
are
Like
Yeah.
yes.
every time I like read anything about Cat, I get the same vibes about Caltaine from Throne of Glass.
She
That's such a good
too,
comparison.
I fear will end up either sacrificing herself or
Oh,
Yep.
yeah, actually no. She's gonna sacrifice herself because everything she loves is dead in the world
Yep.
she
and
might do it to save Marin at some point.
yeah,
Don't you
or it's going
think?
to be for Violet.
Oh, a dagger to the
Hmm.
Yeah.
heart.
It's gonna be for Violet, I think.
Oh my God.
Um,
Tea.
just
Oh, and
as
it could be kind of like a whenever Violet dreamwalked into Marin's dream and was like seeing from Marin's perspective, like Violet thought she was dreaming that she was
yeah.
saving Cat. But what if like the inverse happens and Cat's like,
Mm.
See,
no, you have to live because
I think there is a reason why she walked into Marin's dream. Like I think there was a purpose behind that, and I'm just not 100% sure what it is yet. But like,
Hmm.
why else would she have walked through Marin's dream out of
yeah.
all people?
Because that was so symbolic for her to wake up thinking that she dreamt that because
Yeah,
she and Kat are rivals.
yeah.
And she was like, whoa, like I was saving her. You know, like she
hmm
felt that it was her mind doing that.
Hmm.
So yeah, I do think Kat is going to also maybe not make it. I don't know,
Hmm.
And honestly,
or she'll be
good.
queen.
Rest in peace, dude.
She needs a break.
Rest in peace in advance.
She needs a fucking break.
Hmm.
I don't
Marin
have a
also needs a little break.
Yeah, I don't have a ton to say about Marin. I think she's very cute and I think she's so
She's sweet.
loyal. I love her brothers.
Very sad for
I
her about her parents.
yeah, hate that. I hope she has a good life though.
I do too.
Truly. Yeah.
Damn.
You
Um,
know who did not have a good life?
yeah.
Trigger!
Rip in peace, Traeger.
What the
That
fuck?
got me. And like we
I
said, the way she sandwiched it between like such lighthearted fun because there was like, oh, like Drake got a little kitten and Dane got slapped across the
Yeah.
face.
And
And then,
Violet got a
oh,
broken compass. Oh,
Trigger's dead.
and Traeger got an arrow to the chest.
Like you were laughing, we'll laugh now, bitch. And then there also was some lightheartedness like afterwards whenever they were like going to the other island to like bury him. There was
Yeah.
like it was sandwiched in lightheartedness.
I think the people on that island got so much sick entertainment out of that too. Like they were just
Oh,
so pleased with themselves.
they're rotten, evil
And like,
people.
haha, fucking worthy, you dumb
Oh,
bitch.
but the thing
Um,
is, like, they're gonna come into play. I just know it.
yeah,
Hmm.
Like, their
I
army is gonna happen.
audibly gasped. And you
Yeah,
know what? And
I
they're
sobbed.
they're gonna have the luck of Zanal on their side.
that's true.
And so it was important, unfortunately
And it
for
was
Traeger, but
it was good luck because then they found the Irids right after,
it was. I think, and like again, it comes down
directly
to
because of his
balance.
death.
Hmm.
Fuck.
It's
Oh
all
my
about
God.
balance.
Zanal was actually blessing them.
Yeah. Just in a very sick and twisted way.
Yeah, but that's how the
Um,
world works, you
which
know?
we'll talk more about that island too, because some other stuff happened that I'd really like to touch on.
Yeah, same.
So we'll circle back to them. Um, Last but not least, Drake for the Flyers.
For the Flyers, we got more to go.
Yeah, don't even worry, we got more. I loved him.
I love him too. He's so funny, and
Yeah.
his little like enemies to lovers vibe with Mira is
Immediately.
I
Immediately
love.
enemies to lovers.
Yeah, it's cute. And also I'm obsessed with him and his cat that he named Broccoli, even though he's orange. That's very goofy.
That's so quirky of him.
That's so quirky. And then Mira was like, why not carrot? And he was like, just to piss you off, actually. Glad you asked.
Because I
Thanks
knew
for
you would
noticing and
ask.
asking.
He's like, you fallen right into my trap,
You
you
fell
simple
into the
bitch.
trap, and you know that he was just like
So pleased with
tucking
himself.
his hair
He's
behind
like,
his ear,
excellent.
licking his little feet.
They're gonna love each other. It's gonna be such a bright affair that they have.
I'm gonna be here for it. I think
Yeah.
that well,
They
as long as Mira doesn't betray us all.
She might. Drake may not make it out either. Who's to say?
She
Uh,
kills Drake.
She's
and
gonna
then
kill
betrays
Drake.
everyone.
Fuck, dude. Now let's talk about them dragons.
Let's. I love them, first of all.
I do too. But you know what? I think they're keeping lots and lots of secrets.
They are.
Not even
Yes.
specifically, well, Taryn for sure, but the Empyrean in general is
They're
And
keeping
so sus.
Rebecca,
lots
in
of
an
secrets.
interview, was like implied that their names might not even be their real names.
Yeah.
Like she was like, whenever the writer gives the person the name to write down, like who told them the name? The dragon did.
Hmm.
It could be the truth, it could not be. I do
It's like,
think
why would she
Taryn,
say that?
I know, why would she say that? I do think Taryn is telling the truth about his name.
I mean, otherwise he made up so much bullshit with
Yeah,
his
because
like 15 names.
I was gonna say because it's so detailed, like it has to be the truth.
See, I could see Sigale lying. She's a little
Yeah,
liar. But he always says like the business of the Empyrean doesn't pertain to humans, and so I don't know.
sure does. And he
But they
says
use
that,
humans, and I feel like it should pertain to them.
I know.
yeah, but the humans are honestly just a tool to them. I do think that they form attachments through their bond, but ultimately, I
I
think humans
do.
are seen as less than to the dragons.
Oh yeah. I do think Tarn like really kind of pushes the boundaries of what the Empyrean allows.
Oh, for
Um,
sure, because he even says that he
but
breaks rules.
yeah, I definitely think he knows more than he is
Telling
telling
Violet.
Violet.
I don't remember the context, but Terrence says to Violet, "Do not lecture me on the laws of my kind, or you will learn how comfortable I am breaking them." So he's definitely up to something. Like the Empyrean has their own agenda, but I think Taryn and
Yeah.
Sigale have their own separate from that.
Well, and I wonder if it does go back to the Irids
It might.
I'm
or
telling you, the Empyrean caused the venom problem. I just don't know how yet.
yeah.
I am
Well,
convinced that the Empyrean did something that caused the venom.
I wonder if the Empyrean tried to control humans more by not allowing them to channel from the sky because they didn't want them to be even more powerful. And so they limited it to what the dragons were like willing to give them. And so that's also what drove them to like
Start
channeling
channeling from the
from the
earth.
earth. But yeah, I don't know. Like I'm not sure about them dragons. Just not sure.
I'm not sure
Hmm.
either, but I what I do know is that I enjoy their relationships with their writers, and especially I really love Taryn's like dad energy. Big
Yeah.
fan.
I am so worried about him though.
I
Like
am too,
Yeah.
especially after some of
like
the things you've been saying.
so he took some heavy hits in this book. Like
He
he
did.
Theophany really rocked his shit the entire book.
And honestly, I was really taken aback, especially the first time it happened, because I think we kind of see him as, I mean, he's like the most powerful dragon.
Indestructible.
Indestructible.
Yeah, and he's indestructible and nothing can happen to him. And multiple times he was
Almost
severely
died.
injured.
Yeah, he fell and like couldn't get back up one time and I was like, "Oh shit."
Yeah. Oh, I
Well,
was so
Violet and Andarna
stressed.
also thought he died.
Yeah, they did for a split second.
That was so scary.
That
So
was
yeah,
so scary.
that's what leads me to believe like he's declining. I
He's a
don't
senior
know.
citizen.
He is. He's so old. But you know, Coda's older, and Coda seems to be doing fine.
So what else is going on that we don't know
So,
about?
well, and I'll talk about it
I was gonna say, do we have
later.
thoughts?
I do. I do.
Little teaser.
But let's talk about Andarna because
Okay.
she caused some problems this book.
She, at the beginning, I was like loving, we got more of that like teenager type vibe, sassiness, loved it. She really hurt my feelings
Yeah.
when she left Violet. Like I was actually devastated.
Same.
Um, I do understand why she did it, but what I don't understand is like why she came back so soon. Because I feel like that's more
Yes.
devastating to do that, especially if she's planning
Like
to leave again.
she nearly tried to like kill Violet with breaking that bond. And I know that she probably did not know that that was going to happen when she broke the bond because the Idris was basically like, yeah, you made it and you can break it. Like they made it sound so nonchalant. And then it just like almost destroys Violet when she does it.
I
I was
don't
so
Well,
know. I
angry
think
reading
she
I
kind
that.
of knew.
I think she knew she'd survive it though.
She knew she would survive it, but I think she knew it would be devastating for sure.
But she's kind of just an angsty little fuck, and I don't think she cared.
Yeah. No, I don't think she cared either. I mean,
I don't
like
think that she would have
to an
I don't
extent.
think she would have purposely hurt Violet if she had another option. Because she
Yeah,
Yeah,
loves
but
Violet.
that
she
was her
must
one shot.
really suspect that learning from them is going to directly benefit
Well,
the rebellion.
I'm wondering if it's not even to learn from them. I'm wondering if she's just trying to infiltrate them to see like what she can do to like help her friends out and not necessarily even like learn what they have to teach, but like try to find like secrets from the
Right.
Irids.
That's a kind of like
So,
a double agent situation that I hadn't
yeah.
considered.
Because
Interesting.
she knows everything about, I mean, she knows a lot about the Empyrean because she was listening from her egg for a long
She
time.
been listening 500
So
years.
I wonder if she knows some things that she's not supposed to.
Also,
That.
how did she know to come back? Like, what spurred her to come back so early? Because I
That's what
was
I
not
don't
expecting to
understand.
see her for the rest of the book.
Do we have any theories on that? I feel like I don't
I
personally.
don't have any. Unless, like, Arik went
Unless,
and found her, but
like, maybe somehow Violet reforged the bond. I don't know.
Yeah.
I didn't really like Sigale in this book very much.
She
I felt
was
like
pissed at Zayden the entire time.
yeah, she was just not willing to be very helpful at all the whole book. And also just her being cut off from Taryn, like for three-quarters of the book was really rough too. But I don't know, the whole thing like with Andarna and Taryn being able to still communicate with Violet was really weird. And like no one
Yeah.
else was able to communicate with their
Could
dragons.
that be like how we kind of mentioned
Maybe it's
Violet
from
is
the
able to like,
Irids.
well, maybe. I thought it was maybe from her like summoning from the energy in like the sky
Hmm. Well, I
rather
just
than the
assume because
land.
like the
going back to, like, the
Irids.
Barons,
Yeah.
The Irids
But
were
Baron
able to
theory.
use magic outside of the continent, and so maybe
mhm,
Indarna is able to do that too.
that's true. I could see
Mm,
that.
Hmm. I'm
I don't know.
interested to see. I just don't know. We'll move on from the dragons. We'll talk about our little venom besties. Jack
Jack
Barlow was once again useless.
I hate
Jack's a
him.
rat.
And he like will not die. He's a cockroach.
It's like, why do they keep keeping him alive? He didn't even tell them like
He
that
did
much
survive
important.
again, didn't he?
He
Yeah,
did, yeah.
Yeah. I can't
they
like I
kept
don't
That
understand.
man could survive nuclear explosion at this point.
Violet was just feeding him in the dungeon the whole time.
And then
Yeah.
erasing his memory. So he was giving them useful information that part of me is like, is Violet a reliable narrator? Like, is she leaving things out on purpose?
Oh shit.
Because she
Oh,
interviewed Jack for so long
Oh,
and we really didn't find out anything that Jack told them.
you're right.
oh my God. I
Well,
didn't think about her being an unreliable narrator.
another thing that's interesting is that this book, supposedly all of these books,
Are
are written by
from
Justinia.
Justiniania. Yep.
And so it's like, yeah, Violet could just leave things out. And then just,
And if they
how would
weren't
Justinia
written
know?
down, yeah, exactly.
Like, yeah, it's just, oh, that's just disappeared from the history. And that's such a big thing in Fourth Wing in general, is that things were just disappeared from the history. I like
So
that.
But
just
it's also
thoughts.
scary.
It is also scary, and it kind of makes me like Violet more if she is doing that.
Ooh,
hmm
okay.
hmm
Okay.
I think Jack was useful. We just don't know it yet.
We just don't know how.
That's fucking cool. All
I like
right.
that Berwin at the end though. Then they're like, "We have your son." He's like, "Fuck it, I can make more sons. I don't give a fuck
Yeah.
about
I
that
don't
He's
give
one."
a
like,
fuck.
that one is honestly causing more headaches than he's worth. Like he keeps
I
running his
know.
goddamn mouth. I want to talk about Theophany really quick because I honestly thought she was sick as fuck. And I'm
Yeah,
kind of sad
I
she's
loved
dead.
her.
I liked her. She was
I
a
think
cool villain.
she was serving a greater purpose, and I think that the entire point of her being in this book was to introduce the person that she worked for that was pulling her strings. Like they hinted at there's this ambiguous he
He.
who Theophany is working for, and
Yes,
we
he
don't
will
know
be
any details.
pleased. Yeah,
Yes.
and Violet's like, who,
Well,
Berwin? She said, fuck no, not that little loser.
that idiot? No.
Yeah.
Which is
I love her.
terrible because Berwin's pretty bad. Um,
It's actually really
that
scary.
sucks. No, so it's like I also think Theophany showed that like yes, the Venom are evil, but like maybe but maybe
I'm
not.
sorry. I'm sorry. I'm laughing because under Berwin, which one of you wrote this? He might be hot. Tabby wrote, he might be hot, remains to be seen.
Tabitha! This is not a hear me out situation.
But he
She's
could be.
ovulating. Leave her alone. Okay. Sorry to interrupt. Continue.
Anyway, no, it was cool to see how Theophany kind of like showed that there was like a human aspect to the Venin as well. Like she used to be a priestess, and like clearly something happened amongst the priestesses that made her consider, seeking source from the earth, which I'm assuming is from that he that we keep talking about.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But her roots still remained with the priestesses, and I think she still held empathy for them. And like the Venom are just supposed to not have any type of emotion like whatsoever, but she did
Yes. In the same
because
way that Xaden has it for Violet. Like she
yes.
had
Yep.
it for Dun.
And so
Mhm.
I don't know if it's just like some of them can control it better, or if that's just a misconception with the Venom that they're like these
Well,
mindless creatures.
maybe the only thing that they can hold on to is love.
Hmm.
And that's why Xaden can only hold on to that emotion he feels for Violet. And maybe that's all she could hold on to is her love for Dun.
Interesting.
Mhm.
I like it.
But I didn't think she was all bad.
No,
She did some treacherous things,
she
but
sure did, but I liked her. Like I said,
but
cool
I
villain.
don't think she was fully like a villain.
Yeah, I
I
could
stand for
definitely
women's
sympathize.
rights and women's wrongs.
And
And
her wrongs,
wrongs.
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Amen.
Yeah, rest in power. And then Berwin is he might be
Fucking
hot.
bitch.
He might be hot. Remains to be seen.
He might be.
Yeah.
Can he dream walk? Like, is
Maybe.
that how he's getting into Zayden's dreams?
And like
Well,
giving him
that
the
would
same
make
dream over and
sense if
over.
he could dream walk because Violet can dream walk. So if he's the
The
opposite of
balance,
her,
yeah.
yeah, no, that would make a whole lot of sense because like
Mhm.
he talked to her in the dreams and he's like, "Ha, you again? Like, how do you keep getting back in here?
And
Who's letting you
Xaden
Oh,
is
in?"
having these recurring nightmares, so like it's just him visiting every time.
It's so
Me
fucked up.
again.
I'm
Hi,
skipping
Carly.
ahead, but I'm gonna say this now so I don't forget.
Yes.
Zayden and Violet are gonna communicate via the dreams in the future
Oh
books.
yeah.
That's how
Yes.
that's gonna
Oh,
happen.
For
100%.
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's gonna be popping in and be like, "Bitch, it's me again.
It's me again. Miss
Can't wait for
you.
them to
Where
have
are
dream
you?"
sex.
Yeah,
Like,
dream sex. Ooh, it's giving
Ooh.
Crescent City.
yes.
Yeah, I hate Berwin.
Same.
But I am intrigued because he does seem to be serving another purpose. And
Mhm.
I want to know if it was just like him and Theophany like vying for attention from the mysterious he.
They're interesting because like Berwin's got his claws in Xaden and Theophany was trying so hard to get her claws in
Hmm.
Violet.
Mhm.
They're obviously trying to control the
Yeah.
situation.
Like we're gonna see a lot more of the Venom.
Yep.
Like every book
Can't
we've
wait.
been getting to like find out a little bit more about them, but I hope this time we get to infiltrate the Venom.
Yeah. Book one was like, wait, they're
The
real?
There's
Venom are
Venom.
real?
And book two was like, oh, they're real.
They're here amongst us.
And book three was like, oh my God, they've
What up,
infiltrated our
bitches?
There's
walls.
so
We're
many.
here.
They're in the walls.
They're literally in the walls.
You know who I
So,
hate worse than Berwin though?
who?
Fucking Halden!
That little baby back bitch.
Dude,
Rat.
Holden
He
is
can rot.
so he's such a
What
little
a worth
pussy.
a waste of air.
It was so amazing that he had to ride in a basket like a little baby boy, like a little stork baby being delivered to the Isle
Yes.
Kingdoms because that shit's embarrassing. That's
It
humbling for real.
I got secondhand embarrassment when they were visiting that first aisle. And like first of all, he was just absolutely shitting the bed in terms of like striking a bargain with this dude. But then on top of that, like fucking stole from him.
Was that
Yes.
Deverelli? Was that the first
Yes.
Yes.
island? Yeah.
And when she said that, I was like, "Oh my God, could you get any more useless than
The
what you currently are?"
audacity. And then whenever he got stabbed in the hand by Cortland, I was gagged. I was like, okay, he is gonna fuck around and find out in
And
the
he's
same
gonna
breath.
find out. Yeah.
Mm,
You
amazing.
know what? Cortland did nothing wrong.
Nope.
No, he got stolen
I
from.
He was crazy for sure,
Oh, for sure.
but He
But
had a reason
Also,
to be.
that's
yep.
justified.
Yeah, he's the worst. Like I said, he's gonna meet a terrible end. I think it's gonna be really embarrassing, I hope. And yeah, Art will
Honestly,
be
I hope
king.
he doesn't even have a terrible end. I hope it's an embarrassing end. Like it's just something trivial.
Like he just trips and
He
falls off a
trips and
cliff.
falls on his own
Oh,
sword.
oh yeah, that would be very fitting. That's all I have to say about him.
Yeah, I hate
Um,
him.
Papa Aetos, not to be confused with Daddy Aetos because that is Dane. Um, he
Fair
fucking
enough.
sucks.
Continue.
He fucking sucks. I
God,
want him to be put in his place so bad. Like, oh, I want the worst for him. I
he's just
cannot
such
tell
an
you.
embarrassing man.
He's
Hmm.
such a small little man. Like,
Like, why are you fighting with these young adults?
literally, you're fighting. It's like giving President Snow in Hunger
Hmm.
Games. Like, your rival is a 21-year-old woman. Be so fucking for real.
Grow up.
Oh my God. And the fact that he's like rubbing in the fact that he took over like their mom's living space is
Like,
just
okay,
foul. Foul.
you
Hate
little
him.
smarmy bitch.
Smarmy is such a good word to describe
He's so
him.
smarmy.
Smarmy
And
as
I think
fuck.
Dane has realized that.
Yeah, he
Yeah,
hates his
thank God.
dad.
I do too.
Speaking of parental issues, mommy issues, if you will,
Hmm.
um, Zane's mom is a villain
Oh my
in the
God.
worst way.
She left her
Heinous.
son. Left her son as if that would not affect him. And then whenever she sees him again is like she's like, "Oh, you remember these are your favorite." Yeah, bitch.
Fuck
He fucking
off.
remembers. Uh
Do you?
Hello? Like, yeah, she is
I just thought it
evil.
was so disgusting how she leaves him and then goes on to have two more children. Like, you just abandoned your first baby,
Yeah,
and
all
then you have
because
two
she's
more?
like, "I don't want to live here anymore." Okay, well, that's your child that you're abandoning. Did you think of that? I
I was
Ugh.
can't.
a little confused with like, so do they just like sell air producers? Like I was confused on how all of that worked.
So it sounded like they had contracts that they signed because they were trying to get Kat and Zayden to sign like a however many years long one.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then once she produced an heir, she was free to leave. Their contract would be absolved and he could marry Violet.
But I don't
Yeah.
understand like what grounds do they have to be like arranging these things? Like what are they bringing to the table?
I don't know.
Because it's like, yeah, they're mediating the
I was
contract, but like
confused by
what's your
this.
role in
Yes.
it?
I think it's just because she's Zayden's mom, like
Yeah,
she's allowed to.
I guess.
But I don't know. Like he has no other living relative besides Bodhi, so she's the one that can strike up these contracts. But I
Yeah.
feel like the second she abandoned him and like forsook
Forsook.
Tyrandor, he lost. I
Forsook
don't.
Tyrandor and gave up her maternal rights.
She can no longer do that.
Yeah, fuck you. Don't like
I
her.
think
Um,
it made it worse because she was also in the dark about a lot of the events that happened, like with the chocolate cake. Like she did not know that it was poisoned. She probably should have. Like that's dumb
but
of her, but
knew that he was coming, and that like she inadvertently did play a part in that because like she knew he was coming and like she knows her husband's a piece of shit and like so she surely had to think like he was going to do
hmm.
something nefarious.
Right. I hated her.
She sucks.
She's definitely part of the problem. I don't know, maybe she'll come through in the end, who's to say.
Pull what's their name? An Archeron.
Father Archeron, she's gonna show up with the Nina, the Pinta, and the Santa Maria, and she's gonna save the day.
She's gonna save the day. Yeah, she's gonna bring the Irids to the continent.
Yeah.
She's gonna
Single-handedly.
like ride on the back of one somehow. All right.
Yeah,
Yeah,
for
that's all I have
sure.
to say about her. Any characters
That's,
that we missed that, I mean, obviously
I
there's
mean,
more in
we didn't talk about
existence.
Jasenia. I don't think
Yeah,
Jasenia really played a huge role in this book.
not in this one.
One thing I did think was interesting was that I don't know if you caught the blurb about her being removed from the scribe quadrant, though.
Yes.
Yep.
Um, and
Markham
so
is a little vengeful asshole.
it's like all of the things that she's writing about would have had to happen like in secret.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
or like she obviously she's probably going to be reinstated at some point, like once all
But
this is
she's
over, but
collecting these as it's happening when she's not a scribe.
yes.
Yes. She does have some clearance though because she was appointed as
Yes.
like the scribe for all intents and purposes as their what are the, quest squad. Riddick
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
kept
the quest
calling it
squad.
quest squad. Yeah, so she was given clearance in that way.
Yeah. I just don't feel like they really touched on that very much. Like it was in the blurb and then we didn't hear anything else about it.
Yeah.
I also think that's purposeful though, because she's supposed to be the recorder of all of the events, not
Mm.
necessarily part of the
Yeah.
events.
True.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's kind of in like the behind the
She's in the
scenes type
background.
person. I just want to say this before I forget. Did you all see online there were people who didn't realize that she's deaf?
What?
They just thought she was like
They're
signing for
they
fun.
yes, they were like, "Oh, I just thought all scribes signed because it's a library."
What?
I
No,
was
I
I
didn't see that.
I
shocked.
didn't at first think she was like mute, but then
Yeah,
but
I
that
mean
was
that,
like
but obviously
but
it's
no,
like
she is
she's either
deaf.
mute or deaf if she's
Yeah.
communicating it primarily in sign, but
Hmm.
people did not
Yeah.
gather that for some reason.
That is interesting.
Yeah. Anyway, I just thought that was funny. It's just wild. I don't know. Some people really truly do be flying by the seat of their pants.
Yeah, they were reading for fun and not for understanding.
And sometimes sometimes I do that. So
They
no
were not
judgment.
reading for comprehension, just for vibes.
Every once in a while I do that, but not with a book like this. I don't understand.
You
I think
can't do
that's
it with a book like
yeah,
this
that's my thing is how are you reading this book and just
if
going
you're
on vibes
not.
alone? Yeah, you're not. You're not, are you?
You're not reading it.
Um,
All
anyway,
right.
that's funny.
Let's thoughts and concerns this out really quick.
We'll start with the
Um,
things that we liked. I'm going to start on a positive note here. I will
who started
say,
with the Isles?
yeah, so one of the cool things that I liked was each of the Isle Kingdoms was vastly different from the other. Like each one centered around its own god and like had their own culture stemming from that god, which is different from how things go on the continent because they worship multiple gods. So that was cool. And the dinner scene in Hedotus, like, really was the turning point for me. I thought
Yeah.
that was just
It picked
so
up from there.
good. Yes. And then
Hmm.
the pace just increased, and I really loved that. And then also, we talked about how we got different perspectives from other characters, and that was really cool.
So one thing I really liked was all of the little like as always they had the fun little chapter blurbs at the beginning, but I really liked specifically getting to read the ones from Asher because first of all, I think he was foreshadowing a lot of stuff, and I think sometimes like even though the blurbs don't necessarily have anything to do with that chapter, even the chapters that follow it, they are going to make like a full circle comeback at some point. And so I feel like everything he wrote in there needs to be remembered for next book. But I also really like that he always ended it with his last name and like it slowly started changing to Sorengale. And I thought that was really cute.
That
Yes.
was so cute.
King energy.
I loved all of the backstory that we got, like the cultural backstory by visiting all of the islands. Like, I just thought that we got so much of a better understanding of how the rest of the world views, quote, the continent,
Mm-hmm.
Amaryllis, which is what nobody calls it the continent aside from the continent. Like, how very ethnocentric of them.
Hmm.
Interesting, Rebecca, that you would write. Why would you write something so
Rebecca,
controversial yet so brave?
that really speaks to the times, doesn't it, Rebecca?
It's giving America.
One thing that I did, so they talked about the Sword of Tyrandor a lot. And so in, I think it was an Iron Flame, Takaris had the Sword of Tyrandor that Xaden's father had given him. And it was obviously very important to Xaden that he had it back, and it kind of played a role in this book as well. At some point, it had mentioned, I think she saw it in a dream, actually. He had the Sword of Tyrandor, and like she noticed that it was like emerald hilted. And then at the end, when she received like her ring, it was like one of the emeralds from the sword.
Hmm.
I thought that was really fun, and it kind of ties them in together. And the
Yeah.
sword's gonna come back and play later. And I'm wondering
Hmm.
if it like it can do anything like special, like if it's
Ooh,
imbued
like
with
magical.
relics or runes at all.
Runes. That would be
Like I bet
cool.
it has runes imbued into it.
That would
I
be
bet it
so
does because all
freaking
of the
sick.
times that Xaden offered to like make her runes and Brennan offered to make her runes and
I bet her ring has runes in them.
Protective runes.
Hmm. I did like, I think someone else said this, that there was less like angst in this book. Like
oh my God.
it just felt
Yeah.
more mature.
It did.
Um, and I did like that because Iron Flame about did me in. I was so pissed off and I was so mad at how they were communicating with each other, and it just felt like, I don't know, like almost Wattpad-ish, like in the writing, and I hated
Yeah.
that.
No, we really
Yes.
were like I listened to our Iron Flame episode in preparation for this one because it had been a year since we read and recorded that book. So I was just like, where were we at when we ended that? And you and I both, and I'm sure Tessa, you felt the same way. Like we were just so done. Like we were
I was
disappointed.
over it. I hated it. I hated
Yeah.
Iron Flame. I was
Yeah.
so disappointed. It was so hyped. And then I just felt like I was reading Twilight.
Yeah. It just didn't, it did not hit. And
No.
the only thing that I liked it for was the important stuff that happened at the end that kept the
Yeah.
story moving. But
Yeah.
But a
yeah,
good
I
half of that book could have just been
Could have
gone.
been an
Like
email.
you could,
could have
yes,
been, it could have been.
TLDR could have been condensed to like one chapter.
And I do think a lot of that does have to do with like the pressure that Rebecca Yarros was
Yeah.
feeling from the a massive success of Fourth Wing, which was great for her. But I do think then she felt very pressured. Those books came out in less than a year of
Quick.
each other. Like
Hmm.
Iron Flame came out less than a year after Fourth Wing, and that is insane, especially considering the length of it. Like
Well, and also just the world she's
crazy.
built.
Yeah,
It's just so like, I don't know, it's so detailed and there's just so much going on. And
it
so, I
is.
mean, she did say she is taking her time with this next one and she'll
Yeah.
focus on some other projects first. So I don't think it's going to come out anytime soon, but that's
But it'll
fine.
be even
Fine,
higher
yeah.
quality. Yeah, because she took more time for Onyx Storm and it just shows, like
It
compared
Yeah.
to Iron
does.
Flame. And
You
I
can
just
tell with
love
the
the quality.
details.
Yeah.
Yes.
So some things that I did, does anyone else have things that they did like about this book that they'd like to
I think
touch
we
on?
already touched
Okay.
on them.
Nope. I'm good.
Some things I did not like about this book was the first 10% of it because I just I didn't know where we were and I didn't
A
know.
little bit on us
I
though.
know that's partially on me, but also like I feel like she introduced characters and
Purposely
was
made it
like
difficult.
she was like, no, I totally introduced these characters in the last book. And I'm like, there's just no
No way.
way.
Yeah, like if you did, they were not important. They were
No,
in
and it's like you
passing.
maybe should have talked about them more. I don't know. Because like they were all of a sudden very important. I'm like, who the fuck are
The
you?
other thing I felt like she did out of nowhere was now they were all being referred to as their last name instead of their first name. And I was like, okay, well, I don't really know
I
all
didn't
of their
know their
last
last
names.
name.
Like the important ones, yeah, but no one else. So that was
Um,
crazy.
I also thought the whole like Quest Squad storyline at the beginning was so fucking stupid with that professor and Aura.
Yeah.
Um,
God.
Like mind your
why did we
business.
have to do that, first of
Yeah,
all?
I guess it was just to show that like Violet was getting pushed back from like Aetos and I don't know. I think it was just to show that like things weren't going her way at the
Like, I'm
beginning.
glad Aura died,
Yeah.
but
Jesus. She
like
was
it just felt
annoying.
a little unnecessary. And like it was just so petty. The whole thing was so petty. I didn't like it.
I agree.
I think that was pretty much like everything I was really been out of shape about.
I mean,
I
yeah,
didn't have a lot.
mostly
The
I
other one,
struggled to get through like the first half of the book because I did take a year between reading Iron Flame and Onyx Storm. So that was kind of
yeah.
my bad.
The
Yeah.
only thing that really got me was Llewellyn. Like
Yeah.
I did
We
not
were
know
like,
who
now hold
Llewellyn
on.
was. And then all of a sudden Llewellyn was a place, but then they'd be like, but no,
Yes.
also Llewellyn the person. I'm like, no, no.
And Llewellyn was different from Xaden's like foster dad dude. And so
Yes.
I got confused because again, it had been a while since I read it, but it's like those were two different figures in his life as well.
hmm
And I did think they were the same person.
I also thought they were the same person,
Yeah.
and it's fine. That's on me, I think. But
We were making fun of people for their reading comprehension, yet we did struggle with that.
Yeah, that did
But
fly over my
again, it
head.
had been a year since I read the book, so oopies.
Right.
So now that we've talked about things that we liked and didn't like so much, we are going to move on to Theory Corner, which is our favorite time. We just got some things we want to hash out and see, bounce some ideas off of each other. So
Mm.
we'll start off with why do we think that Violet still has Andarna's signet, even though Andarna supposedly broke the bond?
Because I think a signet is something that a dragon like gifts them. But I don't
Mm.
know how she's able to use it because they draw that
So
power from the dragon.
could she potentially be drawing the power from Tern to use the signet that was gifted to her, or
She's drawing it from the sky like
from the
she does her
sky?
other one.
Yeah.
I mean, that would make sense with how the Venom draw their power because a lot of they don't have a dragon anymore for the most part. Some of them do,
Hmm.
but the Berwyn even said like, "I'm going to kill Sigale, so you're forced to fill that power from the earth."
Yeah, you're right.
So maybe they do still have that signet, even if that bond is broken and they just channel it from somewhere
Oh,
else.
yeah. I
Yeah.
think
That
you're
would make
right.
sense.
Yeah,
So
I
it
think
is,
it's just
it's
because
just a
it is
permanent gift.
gifted to them.
Cool. I love that. I'm
And it's
satisfied
just
with
never
that.
been a problem before. That
Yeah.
doesn't happen.
One theory that I have is surrounding the compass that Violet received when they were on, what is that called?
Uh,
Zelena? Zelnia?
Zahilna.
The Hilna. So everyone got, I mean, most people got pretty funny things like the cat, which for I don't know why, but
Where's broccoli?
I feel like that cat is a shapeshifter somehow.
Oh shit. Broccoli is confirmed to be safe from
Very
Rebecca
good.
He's
herself.
probably in Tyrandor.
Yeah, probably.
I don't know. Something's up with that cat because what did
Wait, what if the cat actually is one of those giant like panther things and it grows up into one? You
that'd be
remember
Oh
those
cool.
no.
those like
That
yeah.
was from Deverelli.
Yeah, what if it's not a house cat at all?
Yeah. No, that's what I'm saying. Like, what if each gift that they were given like has like an actual thing it does? Because like Cat got like a ruby or something necklace.
And Zayden was like using that box, like one of his daggers was in it, but like what if the box has some kind of
Yeah.
magic to it that he just
Well,
doesn't realize?
and then the one that like Violet got, she got a compass that doesn't point true north. And
Hmm.
so I feel like that's going to be useful somehow, or like it's
Yeah.
going to like
It'll
when
come
they're
into
in my
play.
or like
It's pointing to something.
that's how she's going to find Xaden in the next
Yeah.
book is by using
Because
this
I think it
compass.
it doesn't point true north as far as the planet goes, but it points to Violet's true north, whatever that
Yeah.
is, whether it be Xaden or her
That's
dragons
adorable.
or Dun, like something,
Yeah.
or
So
Malik.
Or
Malik. Yeah,
Malik.
or Malik. Let's talk about that.
Yeah.
Oh my
Um,
gosh. Yes. So there were so many excerpts in this book about like her parents trying to dedicate her to Dune. And then
just her dad.
I think it was both of her parents trying to dedicate her, and then her dad took her separately. So I think that there was like the two of them were trying to do the dedication. It didn't work. So the dad took her individually. But like at what point in time, there's been so many hints that the other god that she was dedicated to was Malik. Like
Hmm.
one of the excerpts from this book is I pray that she does not need to use it to avoid reacquainting with the other who carries her favor in relation to the priestesses of Dune who gave
Hmm.
her the dagger. The other god who
Yes.
carries her favor, Malik, of course, comes to mind because with the school, like Basgiath, everybody prays to Malik because death is such a huge part of their
Hmm.
life. She
Yeah.
saw Liam, which is something that we talked about before, and like why would
Hmm.
she see dead people unless she was attuned with the god of death?
Hmm.
Exactly. No, I agree with
So,
you.
yeah.
And that she also has, which I think maybe she has said that other people do this too, but she sometimes keeps things instead of burning them and giving them to Malik of the people who
Yeah.
have died in her life. And so I'm like, okay, well, how's she getting away with that then? But
But
I
she
think
has
Unless she
maybe
Malik's
other
curries
people
his
do.
favor.
favor. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't
Interesting.
know. I do think the gods are, I mean, they definitely started to bring them in a little bit more this book, which we had kind of theorized for Iron Flame that the gods were going to play a really big role in these books. So I think probably in the next one we'll see like whose favor she actually does carry and like how it's going to play a role.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Okay, so the other thing we want to talk about is who is he? Who is this other Venom that Theophany is talking about? And one of the things that we think is a possibility is that it's Naolin. Taryn refuses to talk about him, first of all.
Mhm.
Anytime Violet brings it up, he says, we won't talk about the one that came before. Like that's how he phrases it. He doesn't say
Hmm.
the one who died, he says the one who came before. Also, we know for a fact that Brennan did attempt to mend him. So, did that actually work? Did he somehow mend him? Did Brennan somehow channel to have
Did
enough
Brennan
power to mend
turn
him?
Venom? Yes.
Mhm.
Yeah. And like we said, Brennan's got those weird scars that we can't explain.
Hmm.
So I think Nayland is a really big contender. I mean, just the fact that
Well,
he's been talked about over and over.
and two, with like Tara not wanting to talk about him, my theory on that is that when Nayland turned Venom, like he broke that bond with Taryn. And so it's like somehow weakened Taryn. And that's why he's been like struggling so much in this book. And that's also why he told Violet like she'll be his last rider. Because Taryn's supposed to be like the most powerful dragon, save for Coda.
Yeah.
And so it wouldn't make sense why like he wouldn't be able to bond multiple writers. So I think Nayland like took something from him when
When
he
he
became
turned.
Venom.
Which is fucked up.
Well, that also begs the question, like, when a writer turns Venom, because we saw this with Jack and his dragon, that like you can stay bond and Xaden and Sigale, like you can stay bonded to them. So like
Maybe
if
Taryn broke the
Naolin,
bond with him.
Like
maybe,
intentionally.
because we know that Venom can survive that bond breakage because they have
Because they
somewhere else to
channel.
fill that power from.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And we saw Berwin confirm that at the end of the book, but it's I don't know. There's a lot of like unknowns surrounding like how dragons bond and how often
Hmm.
they can do it and when
Yeah.
and
The Empyrean is so secretive.
Yeah, we
he
don't know
Forever
is.
anything
secret.
about the well, and also like on that same vein with Nayland, Sloane presented as a siphon, and everyone
Hmm.
thought that was because Nayland is dead,
But it could
but
just be balancing.
she could just be his mirror
Yeah,
Yep. There
with
would have
Nay.
been more closure if Naolin wasn't going to be an issue down the road, you
for
know?
sure. I
They
agree
wouldn't have
with you.
brought him up at all.
No, like they'd be like, yeah, Tyrion's rider the last one died. It
Yeah.
was a shame.
Potentially, I think another like person that could be the Venom Theophany is talking about is some unknown sibling of Violet's, like maybe a half sibling, or maybe not a literal sibling, but a metaphorical one, like either through um like Dunn or Malik or something. But what comes to mind is the Fables of the Baron. Again, like having
Yeah.
Violet be like part of that prophecy. So potentially something like that, or it could just be someone we don't know anything about. But
I am not convinced
I
Papa Sorrengail is
feel,
dead, and
mm.
hmm.
maybe he's also the he.
I mean,
I don't
Oh
know.
shit.
Lilith was so sure. I mean, she thought Brennan was dead too, though.
I
So,
True.
know.
oh, I don't
Oh my
know.
God. But then that would kind of break my heart if
I know.
Papa Sorengale was like low-key
I don't
evil
know, but
now.
like in all of the letters that he wrote, like well, oh my God, you know what I just realized? Okay,
Yep.
so in all the letters he wrote her, he said, if you're reading this, I've gone to be with Brennan. So what if he knew Brennan was still
Yep.
alive and
And Brennan is also Venom.
yeah, he didn't say I've gone to be with Malik. He says I've gone to be with Brennan.
Yep.
So
Um, and I also just realized like another thing is that Brennan rhymes with Venom, and that is okay, it's
that's
solidified. Case
suspicious.
closed. That's suspicious. That's weird. All right.
Yeah. So he very much could be
It,
Venom.
you're right.
But I don't, if he is Venom, I don't think he's Venom for the evil side of it. Like I said earlier, I think that there is something going on between the Empyrean, like the leadership
Hmm.
of the Empyrean and the Venom. And I
Yeah.
think Papa Sorrengail figured that out.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that would kind of like going back to Bodhi, if Bodhi is the one who turned,
Hmm.
like his intentions would have been
Yep.
You fight the venom from the inside, and maybe that's what Papa
That's what
Sorrengail is
he's doing
doing.
too. Yeah.
Hmm.
Fuck.
Yeah,
That's so
the
such a cool
wording
idea.
the wording is so important, I think, in all of
It's
these
so,
letters
yep.
and
Oh
yeah.
my God, Rebecca.
Okay.
She's giving us crumbs. Okay. All right. I love that. The
Um,
next thing we want to talk about is why at the end did Andarna say she wouldn't let them burn Violet?
So I thought that maybe Violet had channeled, and so
Hmm.
the 12 hours were to like hide the red
mm,
while she was getting married. But then one of you said, I think we cleared this up though, because one of you said if they burn her, they kill Xaden.
mhm.
Oh, yes. And so they were gonna like use that to
Yeah, to
get rid of
kill
Xaden
Xaden before
and
he's
the
a
dragons.
problem.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Do all Venin have a matched wielder? What happens to the dragons whose riders turn Venin? Can they bond again?
We kind of touched on that already.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like
They
we kind
can,
of
yeah, they
theorized all of
can keep
those.
their bonds.
Yeah, for
But I
sure.
think,
As far as do all have a matched wielder, I think eventually, yes. I don't know how quickly it happens, but I think because balance is so important to the
Critical,
magic
yeah.
system, yeah, I think it just naturally happens.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk about the six missing eggs from the hatching grounds because we want to know, like, where'd they go? Who stole them? I think potentially because Garrick is missing.
Hmm.
I think he potentially took those eggs and walked them to the Hilna
Oh
to
shoot,
trade
I
for the
forgot.
army.
Yeah.
Or
That,
Zahilna. I think I said it wrong.
that was the
Uh,
request. I forgot.
yes. And Eric is also like not accounted for at the moment. So I think like maybe Garrick could have gone to fetch Arik and make that trade because he would need like a royal representative as well.
Okay, so
Oh, that's so
who
true.
all is unaccounted for? They said it was six, but
Garrick, Bodhi, Arik,
Jaden.
Xaden. It was Violet.
Yeah. So now only four are missing. And
Okay.
it
And
says
then
four.
Quinn,
Quinn
which
is
we
We
know
one that
Quinn
said,
died.
died.
yeah,
Yeah, how many did they say died?
I think four.
Four. Well,
Okay.
four are missing. Is it also four that definitively died?
Oh, I don't know.
Okay, official numbers are four riders, their dragons, and three elders murdered in the valley. And we still have five riders missing, four now. So four riders and their dragons were dead. Is elders? What is elders?
Like of the Empyrean.
Oh, so they
So
don't have like a
that's,
bonded
I don't
person?
think so.
Okay,
Mm.
So that's not
interesting.
good.
Yeah,
Wait, I
so
thought
four
Coda
riders
was
are
a elder.
dead.
So
Yeah,
he
that sounds
is.
right.
So maybe
Okay.
some of them just chose not to bond.
So
Who's the
Quinn
fourth
would
then?
definitely be a dead rider, and then we don't know who the other ones are. And they all are blaming Xaden because he sent out like that Onyx storm.
Huge, huge
Um,
shadow wave.
yeah, since he did that little display, they're all blaming him for the
Yeah.
dead riders and stuff. But we know for a fact that the
He did
Venin
not do
were
that,
successfully killing dragons somehow with a dagger, which we
which
don't
is
know how. But
terrifying.
yes, it's a very scary development. Okay, so four riders are dead. We only know for sure the identity of one of them.
Hmm.
Interesting.
I hate that.
The
Um,
last one is heartbreaking,
Yes,
but
walk us through this
well,
devastating thing
okay.
that you said.
So while I was reading the end of this again, the first thought that popped into my head is throughout all of these books, anytime Taryn and Sigale are separated, like they can't do it for a long period of time.
Hmm.
So the question I was thinking was how are they going to manage to keep Xaden safe while also keeping their bond intact? And one of the
Hmm.
things I thought was they're just not going to keep the bond intact. I'm wondering if they're going to dissolve their mating bond so that Sigale can be with Xaden.
Or have they
or if they
already?
already did.
And that's why Taryn is having this huge like regenerative sleep because he's trying to recover from the bond being broken.
Yeah.
Mom and dad are getting a divorce, but they still love
It
each
would be the
other.
only thing that makes sense.
I
Yeah,
know.
because why can't Violet reach him right now? Why is he asleep? And
Uh-huh.
Sigale would not let Xaden go off alone. She
No.
just
Doesn't
wouldn't.
matter
No.
how pissed she is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think, unfortunately, I think you're right. And that is devastating.
I know.
Like they're so
I
in
hope I'm
love.
wrong. But I also can't see how it will work otherwise.
Fuck, man.
Oh, this
Wow.
next book is going to be insane.
And I can't wait. Actually, I
Writing,
I
can wait.
cannot
Take
wait.
your time. Take your time,
take
Rebecca.
take your
But
time,
I
but
am
also
But
excited.
I'm very excited. I'm gonna be like a child
Yes,
on Christmas morning when that book comes out. I'll
that's
tell you
right.
she's
what.
writing 5 total, correct?
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah, it's going to be a lot.
Couple more to
Two
go.
more.
Well, guys, that wraps up Onyx Storm. It has been a long-winded episode. Thank you for
Yes.
listening this long. Thank you, Tessa, for joining us.
And
Thank you
for
for
sticking
having
through.
me.
Yes,
Thanks
for
for
sticking
having
it out.
me. This
Yeah,
was
we'll
so
have you
fun.
back whenever the next book comes out as well. Next week, join us as we discuss the Fourth Wing TV show that's supposedly in the works. We know nothing about it yet because we've not looked into it, but we're going to be researching that and talking about it here.
And then the week after, we're going to be discussing Not in Love by Ali Hazelwood because we need a little palate cleanser. We did some heavy hitters, and then we're going to do even more later this year. So, we're just going to have some really nice, easy breezy books in the middle.
So go ahead and get started on Not in Love if you haven't already. We'll talk to you next time, and as always,
Let's get lit.